Up, we're live. Cool. What is up, everybody? How is it going? Austin prechtelevate Performance, coming at you live today. As you guys are tuning in, I am joined with my client Jesse, who is just honestly like a badass. Like if I'm just gonna put it bluntly, just to like start it out the gate like that. We're gonna basically go over how he lost 6 pounds and built a shit ton of muscle while working together for the last like 16 weeks. And so let's give the audience a bit of a backstory on who you are and just kind of tell them a little background on you.
Yeah, sure thing. Thanks, Austin. My name's Jesse. I am 30 years old, originally from a small coal mining town in Southwest Virginia. So if Austin needs to put subtitles on this later, I imagine that he could do that.
I didn't
Um,
know that.
yeah, I'm from like very, very small middle of nowhere. Austin and I knew each other in Indiana for a brief period of time. And I noticed that he had started up this great business. And so we reached out or we spoke to each other to kind of get things started. I'm currently living in Seattle, Washington, and I'm a lawyer.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Let's go. Very cool. And so how like so you've lived like kind of all over the country. And so like where what part of like Virginia or West Virginia?
So Virginia's shaped kind of like a shoe.
Yeah.
I'm on the knuckle of the big toe.
Okay.
So yeah, it's like down wedged in between Tennessee and Kentucky and North Carolina. So, you got Virginia is on the, I guess, Atlantic coast. And then on
Yeah.
the other side, all the way down at the end, it's in the middle of like the Smoky Mountains. If you've heard of
Okay.
Gatlinburg, Dolly Parton, it's like
Oh yeah.
from there.
For sure. The knuckle of the big toe. That's
Well,
awesome.
the other one is if it's a turkey laying on its back, we live on the beak. So,
Okay, gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah. So before like you and I started working together, like what were you struggling with the most, or like what was there not maybe not even like struggling is like the right term, but like what were you kind of like lacking in terms of like your fitness journey and like kind of at the beginning.
I think the biggest thing was structure and navigation. And similar to anything that you enter into, the amount of information out there nowadays is just vast.
Yep.
And I had done so many fad diets or elimination diets, or I decided, oh, I'm gonna do this one workout or whatever. And I guess ultimately I just made the decision that like I need a professional. It's essentially it. So that like the biggest thing that I struggled with for sure was just kind of the structure of it and just getting it going. And then like a sub struggle was efficiency.
Yeah.
It's kind of related, right? It's like people go out and they are like throwing weights around, or they're like eating one thing or another, and then they don't see results. And it's just like, how do I streamline this?
Yeah. How do you optimize it? And yeah, I like that you said that. And something else too for those that are watching right now, live or at a later time, #replay. Jesse's super fucking smart, and don't let him like tell you anything different. He's a very smart guy, and it's one of those things where it's like, but it's one of those things like you and I have both been in like grad school in the past. It's like the more you start to learn about something, the more you realize that you don't know everything, and then also like specializing like there's just like specialties. It's like you if you want to streamline and you want to like optimize and things like that, like people that know a lot about the stuff, that it's just their specialty. Whereas like like in schooling, like if you studied something in particular, like that's your specialty. And like if you didn't study it like that in depth, or you didn't like kind of go through the gauntlet of it all to learn these things, it's super freaking confusing for everybody, like regardless of like your educational background, unless it was specifically in like fitness or nutrition or things like that. So I just wanted to like note that like just because like just because like you're whatever, like wherever you're at like on the learning curve, like there's always like going to be some sort of learning curve. Like I'll be the first one to say like I don't know everything. I know what I know, and I don't know how to like teach it to people. And so what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's just I spend thousands of hours a year doing what I do.
Yeah.
I spent, thousands of hours in the previous years learning to do what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And there are people such as yourself that do that with fitness.
Yeah.
And so my general thoughts are, how can I get all of this information or this training or whatever, and even hope to just know that, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's its own specialty. It is literally your full-time job that you're doing as we're
Yeah.
speaking. And so, I like, there's just stuff that's like important, like your health, for example,
Yep.
or, finances or what have you,
Yep.
that people specialize in to a very extreme degree. And it's like, don't kid yourself. Just
Yeah.
find someone who's like went through all these struggles or whatever. And
Yeah.
so I mean, that's my thoughts. Like,
Yeah.
don't
Hey,
try.
I'm not about to go try to like pretend to be an architect to like save money on building a house, or like I'm not about to go look up like 8 million tax codes to try and save myself some like money or some shit.
Don't draft your own contract, Austin. Call
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's awesome. So for you, like in terms of like, not having like that process, or not having like that access to that, like, like easy, like more easily digestible, like this is what you need to know versus this is like kind of bullshit. How is that kind of like negatively impacting you? Like, what were your, I guess, goals at the beginning, and how were they not being met?
Well, I guess that, in terms of how it was negatively impacting me, it's just whenever I came to you with our initial phone call, you're nice enough to reach out and say, "Hey, I'll do this preliminary consultation with you." It was supposed to be shorter. It ended up being longer, and it was a great conversation. And, we did what we did, but it was just, I wasn't feeling healthy. I, like many people, am busy. Everybody's busy, right? Everybody's got their own stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
But I was just like, I don't feel good. And like, I'm like, my sleep's not great. Like my nutrition isn't great or whatever. And so I'm just not really feeling that great. And so
Yeah.
I need to reach out and kind of do something that can potentially change that.
Dude, yeah.
And so that was kind of how I was negatively being affected, before figuring out like the efficiency and what there was to do.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. I like that you said that too. It's just one of those things. It's like, I feel like for a lot of people, like it's almost like you don't realize where you're at until you're there. And it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, you weren't like super duper like unhealthy or anything like that by any means, like from like, kind of like the get go, but it was one of those things where it's like, it can sneak up on you, right? Like, it's like, you're working like a job, or you're like at this, if you're somebody who's at like a different stage of their life kind of right now, or they're transitioning to a different stage of life, like, if you're not being active about it, like proactive about it, like one day you can just kind of like be like, oh shit, like I'm not that healthy anymore. Or, oh, like I've put on however much weight, or, oh, I've, I can't run I can't run, or like you go on like a, an adventure out with friends, or an outing with friends, and you're like, whew, man, that was a little bit harder than it used to be, kind of thing. And it's like, it kind of sneaks up on you. And I feel like, a lot of people, they reach this point where they're just like, I need to do something about it. Right. And I think that, that was kind of that moment. And like, you were very like, like you kind of knew that you were like ready for it, I think at that point, but like kind of leading up to that, like what, I guess, basically kind of what I just kind of described, what was kind of your point where it kind of led up to that, or where you were like, I need to like do something about this, or I'm like ready to do something about this? What made you kind of like, what switch flip where you were like, you went from not wanting to do something to like taking action on it?
Well, unfortunately, I think it was like an unhealthy way to jump into it, in that with like COVID and the quarantine and all that sort of stuff, I feel like people went one of two ways. They either got really healthy or they didn't. And I just got kind of lazy and like bummed out and all that sort of stuff, because hey, it was a tough time for all of us. And I just stepped back one day and I'm like, hey, you get older every day. You need to kind of figure out what you're going to do about this, and like what the benefits are of making this a priority.
Yeah.
And so I put the time, I put the money aside, and was just like, it's time for this to be a priority in my life. Because, like these things that you're talking about in terms of, you wake up one day and you're just like, oh, I've like went for a walk and I'm winded or
Yeah.
whatever. But like that stuff stacks.
Yeah,
And
it does.
I spent probably a year or two just being a slug.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
And it was just like, no, I got to turn this around, and I got to get these habits in line. Because, as I noticed, like particularly with your program, it can stack in the opposite direction too. And the height of those blocks is all about like having the right mentor and having the right program, because you can stack it this way or you can stack it this way. And like stacking it that way is saying, hey, you've been through all the BS.
Yeah.
How do you do this?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely, dude. I love that. Like whenever and I don't think this question that I kind of have, like, it may not like fully apply because we have known each other for a while. But like, whenever you first like started like thinking about working together, and like whenever because I'm pretty sure like I think you reached out to me initially to kind of like get things kind of like to chat about it at least. Because you saw one of my other clients, you saw, I think it was because you saw Ruben's transformation, if I'm remembering correctly.
Busy guy.
Yeah. And so like, what was kind of like your initial hesitation to like working together, or like, what was like, maybe if it wasn't even with me or something like that, like with somebody else or something like that, like what was your initial like hesitation to like doing something like this online?
Well, I mean, like, so you make a good point in terms of, I like already trusted you, right? Yeah. And it was already something that I knew that I was going to do. But that said, I guess that my hesitation for doing it online or just doing it at all was time and money. I mean, it's, when you like step back and you look at what does it truly take to dedicate yourself to fitness, it's a lot. I mean, it's not a quick time thing, and it's not inexpensive. Whether it be your training or like your nutrition or whatever, right? But I mean, it's something that just, I think, it's a long-term investment that people don't recognize, and it took me some time to recognize it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm gonna like riff off of that for just a second and essentially say that, if I could like advise anyone of, why did I do it? Why should another person do it? It's that it's such a long-term decision to where it makes your short-term choice to dedicate just invaluable, because again, we're all really busy people.
Yeah.
But if you just take that moment and, save up the money if the money is a problem, or, reschedule yourself if scheduling is the problem, and get into that habit and take the first 16 weeks or 32 weeks or whatever it takes you to figure it out, then after that, everything that you're doing becomes streamlined.
Yep.
And you know what it's doing. You know what the program is or what you're doing, because you teach your clients like this is how it goes.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, you're sleeping better. You're feeling better.
Yeah.
Your workouts are going more quickly. You don't have to like punch a bunch of numbers in or be like, how many calories are in this like chicken breast or bag of Cheetos or whatever it is you feel like eating. It just gets streamlined.
Exactly.
And you're healthier and you feel better. And it improves, I want to say, literally every portion of your life.
Yeah.
If you're willing to put in the time.
Yeah. Dude, yes. I love it. Fuck yeah, dude. Absolutely. I love that you said all that too, because it's like, because our health is like us, like our bodies are us, like what, how capable our bodies are and how healthy our bodies are, like it's a centerpiece to everything that we do because we have to take action with our bodies. And so, feeling healthier, like improves mindset, it improves like working out and things like that, like eating right. All those things are tied in with like improved mental health, like across the board. And it's one of those things where it's just like, yes, it's a long-term investment, but like you can, and there's this quote that I like, and it's like, and I think it goes like, it's like, you can take your, food as medicine now, or you can take your medicine as food like later. And it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, like maybe it costs money to go to the gym, or maybe it costs money to have a mentor or a coach or whatever it may be that you're trying to like work on and improve upon. But particularly in fitness and nutrition, it's like, yeah, like that's an initial investment now, but it pays like 10, 100, 20, like 1,000-fold later down the line, because you're not going to have to spend money on surgery or, being like in a, like in like a healthcare facility or something like that, because you're like, because you can't take care of yourself. Like every year is invaluable. Every day that you would gain from it is invaluable, let alone like the years that you'd be adding on to your life by like, living a healthier lifestyle.
Yeah, and I mean too, like I reflect back on the BS I buy, that to like make me happier or like make me feel better or something like that, and it's just like just do it. It's like I don't know how to like convince other people that it's like worth it or it isn't worth it or whatever. And like, and online really adds some flexibility. I mean, like we live close enough to where I could like drive over and give you a high five in 5 hours. But it doesn't matter, right? Like it offers flexibility for people, and that goes back to like the busy lifestyle and stuff like that. And so it's like, well, who cares if it's online? Like if you have a problem, like you solve it and reach out and communicative. Anyway, it's just like, just do it. It's like, what have you wasted your money on this month? Don't think about that too much. Hate yourself, but like,
I think I did a post last month. It was like, if you can afford like blah, 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 don't say you can't afford like a fitness or a health journey or whatever it may be, because it's like, there's so many things that people spend money on that they don't even pay attention to because they've been conditioned to spend money on it, like from like childhood. And it's like, they spend so much money on these things that give them instant gratification, but only short-term like bursts of happiness, versus like investing in something that, like this long-term, that just overall creates like more happiness in general, more like, just a general sense of well-being for the long term, that just like you talked about earlier, like stacks over time. And it's just like, it's one of those things. It's like you've been through it. So it's like, and I've been through it too. And so like, we know, like, and your journey is more like, like we're all on our own journey, but like in terms of like just having these aha moments and these like, breakthroughs and things like that, you're more like fresh in that manner than I am. And so it's one of those things where it's like, it's hard to explain to people like how like fucking awesome it is to feel healthy and how awesome it is to, feel strong.
and frankly, I'm not pitching the product. I bought it and I'd buy it again, So that's another thing, right? It's like I did it. I like, saved and I budgeted and I was just like, I would do that again. I'd tell anybody else to do it. Cause it's just, it's invaluable. And if it's not sacrificing your budget on one hand, then it's investing on the other. So if you can't do it, then it's like save up.
Absolutely. Cool. Hell yeah. And we and I briefly mentioned it kind of in the intro of this, but like, we worked together for 16 weeks. And in that period of time, like, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like you freaking killed it. Like 95% of the time, like you freaking crushed it, other than just like some of the trips that you ended up having to go on. But like, within that 16 weeks, like what sort of results were, we able to accomplish together, whether that be like, mentally with like mindset, or like, physically, or like, like health wise.
Well, if I could distill it into one statement, it's exactly what I asked for. And so we had the preliminary conversation to where I essentially came to you and I said, hey, I'm comfortable with my weight, but I'm not comfortable with what that weight is, or like necessarily my general health. And you weaved a plan, and I stuck to it, which, as an aside, like don't come into any fitness program and think that if you don't stick to it, that you're going to come out with results. Like, that's like keto level stuff.
Yeah.
That was a dig. But anyway, but like, yeah, it's, like I came to you and I requested these things, and I have come out, with essentially what was initially a body recomposition, if I'm using my terms right,
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm doing properly.
Oh, yeah.
To where like I flipped fat into muscle. Like my body measurements changed in really positive ways.
Yeah.
I lost some weight, but that's because we accelerated it at the end there to like cut a bit more just to like see if what happened. Really, that's why I did. I was like, well, let's see what we can do. But one of the big things that you pushed, or not pushed, but asked about, was non-scale victories.
Yeah.
And those were just in legion, it was like you're healthier, you're stronger. There were times to where we would check in on like, the check-ins that you offered, to where I'd be like, oh yeah, I went kayaking and everyone was winded, or, like whatever. Right. And like, I near the end of my, my time with you, or my fitness journey or whatever, I went backpacking and was just like, this is a physically strenuous activity that, I'd done before and knew how I felt before, and just like, I can do it. And so it's crazy. Even in 4 months, the physical difference, the increased strength, the general capability, and the mindset leaving here, that you have offered me the tools to carry this forward, and to move it around. So just like, from, hey, Austin, this is what I'd like, to, hey, Austin, this is what I have. Check.
Yeah, dude. Fuck yes, dude. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I love that. And that's like, that's one of those things too. It's like, I remember, like, just in a side note, like, I remember like every like check-in, like before, like you were gonna like go on like a camping trip or go on a hike or whatever, you're like, let's see how this goes. Like the last time that I was like, I was tired and it was like really rough, but let's see. And then like clockwork, every time you come back, you're like, well, that was fucking easy. Like that was like, you were like, you're like, you'd come back and be like, I fucking crushed that shit. Like that was like it was like, you're like, man, like I you were like the, least winded out of anybody that you were like going with and things like that. And it was just like just to see that, like, from the beginning to then, like, it was just like that was some of those stark like takeaway or differences where I was like, holy shit, like Jesse's fucking doing it. Like, it's one of those things, like, it's because it takes time, right? You stack and you work towards these goals and it slowly builds over time. And so, looking at these like moments, these defining moments where it's just like, yeah, like I have freaking like, gotten stronger. Yeah, I have. It's like, you're testing your, like, I don't know, like your limits, or like testing, like putting it to like actual like practice, like in the real world kind of thing, not just only in the gym, which that's cool too, but like also being able to like, hike a shit ton and backpack a shit ton. That's that's pretty damn cool.
Or like get complimented by people, right? Like
that's I was gonna say that too. I didn't know. Like, I didn't want to mention that unless you were gonna.
Yeah, I mean, just like it just out of any particular context, it's just like, to have people just be like, hey, you're looking good. It's like a real confidence boost, and like when you have a structure and you put in the work, you get the results, and like frankly, people notice, or people troll you, and that's well, f them. It's like you just whatever.
People that happens sometimes, but I always view that as just like, because that happens sometimes, because I've seen that actually happened to another client yesterday, where somebody was just being a dick for no reason. It was just one of those things where it's just like that. Those people are just kind of like sad or mad people, because like you're doing something and like, working on yourself and growing as an individual. And it's something that they can't see themselves doing. And so your success is a reflection of their like ineptitude, basically. So
if you're not willing to support someone like taking the time to get healthy, then like, what does that say?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you like go
Yeah.
like go be mad about any of the myriad bad things
Yeah.
that are going on, right? Instead of just
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, this person's doing their fitness journey, but I'm gonna be like real mean. Anyway.
Yeah. I get
it's messed up. Yeah, it's like whatever. Yeah.
Fuck the haters. Like that's I just block. I troll them back and then I block their ass. Like that's like my favorite thing to do. Because it happens, and most people don't see it just because like they get blocked pretty damn quickly, and so it's just one of those things where it's like you can let it bother you, but like anytime that happens, it's like there's that concept of like new levels, new devils, and so like if you're doing something really awesome, and you're doing something really good, having some negativity is to be expected here and there.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I lost weight. Oh no.
It's like you can focus on the 90.
Suck, I guess.
Like you can focus on the 99 like amazing things that are going on in your life. You can focus on like the one like dickhead, and at the end of the day, that just gives them power, and we don't do that shit. So cool. So out, and I guess we kind of covered this already, but like outside of fitness, like what would you say is like the number one, like if you had to pick one thing out of everything that like you've gained from this program, what would you say like that thing would be?
So outside of like health and fitness and all that sort of stuff, I think that one of the biggest things that I gained, and it was also something that we talked about in, our initial conversation, is longevity. And so I really feel like I came out of this program, knowing how to, maybe not as well as like a fitness coach or whatever, but formulate my workouts well enough. I know how to do my nutrition well enough because we figured out baselines and macros and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
And also really importantly, like what my wiggle room is in all of this. So I feel like I came into this program asking you for train tracks.
Yeah.
When we went on them.
Yeah.
And we figured out where that train was going.
Yeah.
And I wanted to leave the program with guardrails.
Yeah.
And I have those now.
Yeah.
And so I know, this is what the stringency of the program or the knowledge of the program has to offer me. These are the changes I'm going to see. This is how I'm going to feel.
Yeah.
And now I can take that and adapt it to my life and say, well, maybe these are my current goals, or like these are my goals now, or I'm happy with this, or I'm not happy with this. And based on I guess the medal I got with the program, I'm able to figure out, well, what is it that I want to do now? And it was just, it's fantastic knowledge. And so the non-fitness stuff would definitely be knowledge. Longevity was the biggest.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. Yes, that's great. That's super cool. And I was going to say too, and it's like, I really like that analogy that you use, because it's like now you've got these like, these guardrails, but it's also like, coming into something like this, like coming into a program like prechtelevate performance, like runs, it's like, it's figuring out you, right? Like it's figuring out like the puzzle that is you, because everybody's different. Everybody's got their own like lifestyles and things that they've got going on. And like, they can follow more like cookie cutter programs, and that's fine. And they will get some results, whether they last or not, who knows? But it's not giving you the tools to like figure out how to like do it on your own, like long term, at least, to the extent where you can like maintain where you're at and continue to improve and like restructure things, depending on how like all in you go in on the program, which you went, pretty ham on going all in the program. And so it's one of those things. It's like, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. And because you put a lot into the program, you got a lot out of it. And so it's one of those things. It's like almost like figuring out your own body with where it's at now, and like finding that baseline, not only with, your strength, with like the fitness side of things, with, your nutrition, with trying to figure out where your, basal metabolic rate is at and things like that. Like, and also just kind of figuring out like creating that routine and figuring out how to like adapt that routine to your, to your day to day, to your week to week. And like, also setting realistic expectations too. Cause like a lot of times people come into fitness programs, or they come into weight loss, they try to go on a weight loss journey or to try to build muscle. They have really crazy expectations because of what they've seen online or in commercials and shit like that. And I think that a lot of times, especially, for a lot of people coming into the program, that first week or two is just like a little eye opening, just in terms of like, oh, like I can have a lot of these foods that I thought I couldn't have, or, oh, like, this is what like actual like sustainable weight loss looks like. It's not like losing 10 pounds in 3 days, because that makes me feel bad when I don't do that. And now you're telling me that half a pound to like 2 pounds is like awesome. Yeah. Like I am. And like, I feel like a lot of people like, that's something that people struggle with, or like is that those expectations at the beginning, especially. But I feel like you got awesome results, but then also like you had realistic expectations like going into the program too.
Yeah. And it's tough for people to figure out. And you would probably kind of know reactions more as the coach or whatever, but sometimes people feel dissatisfied because they're not a TV commercial.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good. That's good.
But like,
yeah.
Whatever, you're not going to become a millionaire in a week, right? So
yeah,
it's like you're not going to get abs in a week either. And it's just like, as you put it, once you get into it, you realize the work that it takes. You're not, you can't rip away a ton of weight and put on a bunch of muscle and like just do all that sort of stuff. And, and you gotta put time and you gotta put effort in, and you're not, the progress that you see.
Yeah.
I'm very satisfied with the progress that I got. And, at the same time, like, am I rocking a 6-pack after this? No, because that takes like a year plus of just like, I don't know, I'm going to defer to you on that, but it takes a load of time. Right. And so, I think the important first step is to figure out how you get there. And in the meantime, leave the, results that are that fast to people that like don't have regular jobs and life coaches, and personal chefs, and like people that are sitting there holding your wrists while you do bench press.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and I think that having like, for a lot of people, I think that, just knowing that, it's going to take a while, and but it's going to be worth it. And at the end of the day, like, success, like with anything, equals like consistency over time. It's putting in the reps, like metaphorically, and then also like, like in this instance, if you're trying to build strength, like literally too, but it's one of those things that's like, just like not counting the reps, and just like, and the problem with that is a lot of times it's like, if like success equals like consistency over time with a good fucking plan, right? Like you can do the wrong shit a lot and spin your wheels. like that can happen. Like that happens to people all the fucking time. And they burn themselves out, and they're like, why isn't this working? It's like, well, like the method that you're trying to use is ineffective or broken, or just like kind of like unsustainable at the end of the day. And so like that's why. And so I think that, once people recognize that if you have a good game plan, as long as you keep showing up and you keep, trying, and working, and I guess if they're working with a coach, working with your coach to like, adapt the plan over time, like you're going to get there. It's just, it's a matter of like, when, not if, at that point. And I think that like, once people recognize that, and they can kind of like, you still have like the, the random bullshit thoughts sometimes that come into your head and like, can like throw you off a little bit. But like, once you recognize that, like, you're going to get there, and you have that belief, I think that is like, a huge step for a lot of people to like actually accomplishing their goals.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and to add to that, like, get started.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't wait. Dude, there are so many people right now who are like, I'm going to do it on New Year's. And those are the same fucking people that were doing it last year. They're going to be like, I'm going to do it at New Year's. And they're going to keep doing that shit until like lightning strikes them, or maybe they see this and they're just like, that's not going to be me. But,
right. And like, as we talked about with my personal experience, I started on like one of the busiest work weeks of this current job. And
you
I
did.
told you at the end of it, I said, or I told you, like, as I got into it, I was like, if I can do it this week, I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's it. Just go for it. Don't wait, don't wait until your birthday or,
Yeah.
Like, just do it.
Success like speed, and the sooner that people take action, the sooner they're going to actually get to their, to get to their goal. So yeah, dude, that's awesome. So, and for, that little bit of information, that little bit of advice kind of applies to this, but for anybody that's like listening to this, this live, and that's thinking about starting their own journey, that is just like, you know, on the fence, or that is, because everybody like always has these like goals in the back of their mind that maybe that they've talked about in the past, or maybe they're keeping to themselves, but like, you know, that everybody has something that they're wanting to work towards, like with their health or their fitness or like weight loss, whatever it may be. What would you say to them if they're, you know, thinking about doing something about it?
Well, I mean, like, I guess that what I just said is really pertinent. Like, do it, you know, and just whatever it takes to get started on these sorts of things. They're big steps, right? Like whenever you say, okay, I'm going to change my fitness, or you're going to dedicate a lot of time towards something, you're going to dedicate a lot of money towards something, then it's really difficult. And so, you know, whether it's like, oh, I'm going to go back to school, right? Or like, oh, I'm considering buying like a new car or something like that, then you like really got to take the time to say, oh, is this something that I want?
Yeah.
And if so, then step back and realize that that's the choice that you want to make. And if you're hesitating on like putting the time and money in up front, then like get over it and do it.
Yeah.
If like those things are actually a problem for you, meaning you have like a busy schedule, or you're like having a budget or something, then just be like, okay, my start line is to save this, or to figure out like how I can make time for this.
Yeah.
And to kind of go off of making time for it, my advice to anyone who wants to do these programs I touched on earlier in this interview is it will pay itself back. Like, trust me. Like I've said it 3 times, I think now. Everybody's busy. I'm not trying to like put myself on a pedestal as a busy person, but I will say a fact about myself is I am a very busy person. I have an incredibly demanding job. I live in a very busy place that makes pretty much any errand inconvenient. You know, and like I'm booked. I'm covered up all the time. And you know what? You take the time to make this a priority in your life, and you find someone to help you streamline it and make it efficient, because otherwise you're going to spend more time figuring it out. Then once you make it a part of your life, you sleep better, you feel better, you're more confident, you're less depressed, you know, you know how to eat, you know how to count your calories, how to spend your money, etc. And it's just do it. It's worth it. Whether you have to pull the trigger up front, or make pulling the trigger be, how do I make this a part of my life down the road?
Yeah. Boom. Boom. Ah, yes. I love it, dude. I love it. I think I think that you said it all right there. Honestly, I mean, that I could not freaking agree more with. So yeah, awesome. Other than that, man, I think that's all I had for you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on here, and, you know, share your, you know, story and your journey and what you've been able to accomplish, and just kind of like, you know, prove to others and be an inspiration to others that, like, you know, like you can be busy as shit and still, you know, make this a priority in your life, and still reach your goals, and still work towards your goals, and you know, and do the damn thing, because you're doing the damn thing right now. Like,
absolutely. And thank you so much for, you know, providing the tools in order to help me do that.
Absolutely, man. Awesome. Cool. Other than that, guys, that's all we got for today. If you're watching this at a later time, don't forget, hit #replay and let us know what your #1 takeaway was from this interview. Other than that, we're going to get out of here. I appreciate you for coming on here with me, Jesse, and I will talk to you all later.